Hey friends, hope you're well. Here is the new Mac Studio. This is not an Apple sent review unit. I bought one myself, so you only get honest opinions here. Out of all the WWDC announcements, this is probably the one that surprised me most. The new Mac Studio with the M2 Ultra chip. And I'm surprised because between the Mac Studio and Mac Pro, the two most powerful Macs available, there's really not all that much different this year, even though the Mac Pro is significantly more expensive, $3,000 more expensive. So the new Mac Studio M2 Ultra could be some serious bang for buck. So let's unbox this together on launch day and I'll share my first impressions with you. Okay, so here it is. Just like the previous Mac Studio, it comes with this really nice carry tab here. That's a nice touch. Let's go ahead and open this now. So, tab pull. This is a pretty big thing. Okay, so here we go. All right, I think I totally opened it the wrong way. The box is actually bigger than I thought. And this is, by the way, my first Mac Studio. So I've been pretty attached to the MacBook for forever, really. But anyway, let's get right into opening up this itself. So let's open this up. As spec'd with the M2 Ultra chip, this set me back $4,000. Gotta give Apple credit because they didn't raise the prices of either the Max and the Ultra models. It's a complete beast. It's 24 core CPU, 60 core GPU, 64 gigabytes of memory, and 1 terabyte SSD. Again, incredibly similar to the MacBook Pro. And this is very hefty, and underneath, it's worth pointing out that the Mac Studio is obviously designed for quiet operation with this unique thermal architecture that pulls air in through the airflow channels on the bottom using these double-sided blowers, and then pushes it out through additional perforations on the back of the case here. But yeah, there's quite a few connections. Let's go through them actually. We have 4 Thunderbolt 4 ports. We have an Ethernet 10 gigabyte port. We have, of course, the power connector. And then we have 2 USB-A ports, a HDMI 2.1 port finally, which of course helps with faster refresh rates. And then we have a usual 3.5mm headphone jack and the power button right here. Let's take a look at the front too. So at the front, we have the SDXC card port and then 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports. Mind you, with the M2 Max, we do not get Thunderbolt 4 ports here. So that's a slight difference when it comes to the M2 Ultra variant. So overall, it feels really good. Nothing really different really to the original Mac Studio, but it does work. Great ports of connectivity. It feels really sturdy. Airflow is nice. But I have heard of whistling issues, noise issues with this. Apparently it can get pretty loud, or this is sort of weird whining whistling sound. This is obviously my first Mac Studio, so I've yet to see it and hear it. I think what I'm most interested about is seeing how much bang for buck this really is compared to the Mac Pro. I mean, my M2 Max is still blazing fast outside of RAM swap issues, especially with Adobe apps. But I'll compare it in my full long-term review. And yeah, I was hoping obviously for the M3 chip, but still really excited to test out the M2 Ultra. Apple says it's 3 times faster than the previous gen Intel chips. And I love how Apple kind of compares it to Intel still. I'm just not sure it's still the flex that Apple thinks it is these days. But it is still pretty impressive. Let's see how it actually performs in the long-term review. And I'm sure just like you're probably just as surprised that the Studio and the Pro have the same chip. I was expecting Apple to announce a dual M2 Ultra in the Mac Pro, but alas, it didn't happen. Oh, and I almost forgot, let's quickly go over the stuff in the box. So this is a really big box. Let's take this stuff out. So we've got power cable. We've got the manuals, and really that's it. It's pretty straightforward. It's got the Mac Studio manuals, the usual stuff. Of course, the stickers. This is a big fat one here. Of course, we've got the power cable, which is this really nice braided type of power cable in black. So yeah, like there's really not that much different between the Mac Pro, the Mac Studio, besides the price difference. There's different encasing, there's the upgradable RAM, PCI support, And I think that's about it. I'm not sure it justifies the 3K price difference, but let me know your thoughts below. So some other small differences to point out is that the M2 Max version comes with a 512GB SSD as standard, and the M2 Ultra here comes with a terabyte SSD. But both are configurable with up to 8TB of SSD storage, exactly the same again as the Mac Pro. And of course, there's the latest Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.3 here. And according to Geekbench 6, the M2 Ultra is only 10% slower than the RTX 4080 graphics card. That's absolutely mind-blowing, and I'll have to test out games during my long-term review. I think just looking at the specs and my initial impressions of the M2 Ultra Mac Studio, it's probably going to be a no-brainer purchase for some people out there looking to get the Mac Pro or even the Mac Mini, because with the Mac Mini, if you want to upgrade to 32GB of RAM, that's an insane $400 upgrade on that machine. So the Mac 2 or M2 Studio is probably going to be a good purchase for those of you who are looking at the Mac Mini, and again, like even the Mac Pro, like I said. I think this machine is not only sleek, but it could represent amazing value for money, stacking up pretty closely against the Mac Pro for a fraction of the price, but only time and benchmarks will tell. And of course, real life testing. That's what I'll be doing over the next week, over the next month. Then I'll report back to you guys. But yeah, so far I'm really excited for this little machine here. Or I should say, not so little machine here. I think it can take a lot of my workflow and just do it a whole heap better. And I'm just really keen to test it out as well against the MacBook Pro M2 Max that I have, because that already is a pretty powerful laptop in itself. So we'll see if it really is worth the big price jump. And also, we just reached 200,000 subscribers. It feels like just yesterday we reached 100,000. So a big thank you for supporting my channel and tuning in all the time. I'll drop a review of my review of the MacBook Pro right here, the M2 Max, which I'll definitely be comparing the M2 Ultra against. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.